Hello and welcome back. Today I will be teaching you how to sew this top. The top is designed as a wrap top with a classy balloon puff sleeve and a simple neckline. It does have a slight crop top, however you can easily make this longer by extending the waistline on the bodice pattern, which is really easy. The top is designed so you may create many variations of the garment from one pattern. In order to follow this tutorial, you will need the pattern from my Etsy shop, which is available in the description. Let's get started. For this top, I recommend woven fabrics with little or no stretch, which are light or medium weight, such as a cotton, linen, rayon, or viscose. You'll need to cut 2 sleeves on the fold, 2 bodice pieces on the fold, 2 waist ties on the fold, 2 edge pieces, and 2 wrist ties. So the first step is to create the 2 waist ties. We'll do this by placing 1 tie piece and 1 tie edge piece with right sides together at the notches and ensure that the notches all align. Pin across and then sew. Repeat this step again for the second waist tie. Next, fold the waist tie in half lengthways so the right sides are together. Pin up the long edge and up one side edge. Sew down these 2 edges, leaving one short edge open. Using a long item such as a knitting needle, place this on the short edge to turn the tie right side out. Repeat this step for the second tie. Press the seams flat with an iron and then using a sewing machine top stitch around all edges. You'll want to top stitch as close to the edge as possible. Next we will construct the sleeves. With the sleeve panel facing with the right side up, change your machine to the biggest stitch length and then sew 2 stitch runs along the top edge. These will need to be sewn at approximately 2/8 and 3/8 of an inch from the edge. As these 2 stitches will be used to gather the sleeve, do not back stitch at either end. We will now create the bodice. Place the 2 bodice pieces right sides together at the shoulder seams. Pin across and then sew and overlock. Next we will sew the bias binding onto the neckline. First we will stabilize the neckline by sewing a stabilizing stitch completely around the neckline at 2/8 of an inch from the edge. Next, open one edge of the bias binding and align this just outside the stabilizing stitch at around 3/8 of an inch. Pin in place and then sew along the crease in the binding as shown here. Do this all the way around until you reach the 2 edges. Match these 2 edges and sew a vertical stitch to join them together. Now place them back down flush on the fabric and sew over the crease of these 2 edges. If you need a little bit more help, there are YouTube videos out there showing you how to do this technique. Now fold the edge and the bias binding under so it cannot be seen and pin it in place on the wrong side. It should look like this. Turn the garment inside out and with the wrong side facing up, sew along the edge of the bias binding to hold everything in place, just on the very edge of the bias binding. Now we will gather the sleeves. Do this by pulling the top thread of each stitch line slowly until the sleeves gather and are equally dispersed. With right sides together, place the sleeve along the shoulder edge of the bodice, making sure that the middle of the sleeve is aligned with the middle of the bodice piece. Ensure the sleeve's edges are approximately 20 centimeters distance from the bottom of the bodice waist. Adjust the gathering if need be. Pin in place, sew and overlock. Repeat this step for the second sleeve. Now we will sew the bodice together and attach the waist ties. With the bodice right sides together, align the side seams and pin in place just like this. Next, position the waist tie inside the garment at about 10 centimeters from the bottom edge. Ensure the waist tie is placed inside the garment and the edge of the tie is slightly overhanging outside the garment, as shown here. Lastly, starting from the bottom edge, sew all the way up to the sleeve edge and then overlock. Lastly, hem the bottom of the bodice by folding the edge up 1 centimeter, then pressing with an iron. Then fold up another 2 centimeters, pin in place, press and sew. To finish the sleeves, there are 2 styles, angel sleeves or elastic sleeves. To do the angel sleeves, hem the sleeves just as you hem the bodice. press the edge up 1 centimetre and then press it up again 1 more centimetre, pin and sew. When finished, your angel sleeves will look like this. To create the elastic sleeves with the tie, hem the edge of the sleeves up by 1 centimetre and press with an iron, then fold the edge up again by 3 centimetres and pin in place. This is going to create the casing for the elastic. Sew all the way around but leave a little opening of about 3 centimetres so you can insert the elastic. Place a safety pin into one end of the elastic and insert into the casing. Insert the elastic all the way through the casing and then cut at your desired length while ensuring you leave an extra 1 centimetre on each side for the overlap to sew the ends together. Sew the ends together with a zigzag stitch and then once completed, sew up the open seam. To create the waist ties, fold the tie in half with right sides together. Pin up the long edge and sew down the edge, leaving the 2 short edges open. Using a safety pin, insert this into one of the pointed edges of the short ends and insert the safety pin into the tube to turn the tie inside out. Lastly, close the edges and press the ties flat. Place the tie on the wrist at the desired position. Ensure the tie is parallel with the sleeve edge, and in the middle of the tie, do a straight stitch back and forward to hold the stitch in place. And congrats, you've now finished your lily top. If you have any questions or you have any pattern requests, please leave them in the comments. Be sure to subscribe and check back for the next video. Thank you and goodbye.